Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another fun episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on this episode, we are talking about the power of self-image, mindset, and how to get your life on track. I'm sitting down with an amazing life coach and business strategist. She is somebody that I have the honor of talking to very frequently. She is an amazing woman who cured herself of cancer through her mindset. And from there has had a phenomenal career, from writing books to changing people's lives to working with some of the most powerful people in business and self-development. And she is dropping the advice that is so life-changing on how to improve, not only improve your self-image, the importance of decision making, how to eliminate self-doubt. It is an amazing episode. My comedy personality kind of comes out a little bit, so I have some fun in there. So this is a fun episode. You're definitely going to want to tune in and enjoy. So I hope you guys are inspired and learn something on this episode. We will be right back after this brief message. Thanks.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. Just wanted to remind you to make sure you grab a copy of my book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. It is a great, funny self-help book that is going to help you get out of your own way. I have already helped thousands and thousands of people, and they are on their way to living their dream life. And I want every listener to be able to live their dream life as well. So grab a copy of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or even the audiobook on Audible. Now back to the show.
We're back with our amazing guest on this episode of Next to Madison. I'm so excited to have this lady on. She is inspiring. She's amazing. She has written a ton of books. She has changed people's lives. She has done the inevitable, and we get to hear her story and learn from her today. We're going to be talking about keeping your life on track, confidence, mindset, all that good stuff. So I'd like to welcome global leading life coach and business strategist. She's so big, I can't even say her title. Erin Ley, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Madison. You are extraordinary. You're amazing. And the work you do is incredible.
Thank you so much. No, I'm so excited for this episode because you and I know each other from the personal development space, and you're just such a positive being. And I always like to say, I am a positive person, but I do go through my challenges, which makes me a stronger person in personal development because I can actually pull from my authentic real world experiences, and then try to navigate and learn and things like that, like I did in the book Time to Lighten the Fuck Up, which I need to tell myself more often. But anyways, you have a great program called Life on Track. We're going to get to that, but you were a former Wall Street girl, and I want you to quickly, because we have so much to get into, quickly share your story of how you got into mindset and positive thinking, because this is a very life-changing, amazing story.
Yes, really, really quick. I was working on Wall Street in my early 20s. My Aunt Rita was one of the first institutional traders on Wall Street in the 60s, which was unheard of. So I was riding around in limos with Aunt Rita as a little girl, how to work on Wall Street. Did in the late 80s, not the same culture that she had in the 60s. They wrote books about Wall Street in the 80s. It was crazy for women. So long story short, I ended up getting sick. I ended up with cancer, and it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma, very rare pediatric cancer. Very few people lived at that in 1991. I was 25 years old. I didn't know anything about the personal development world, nothing. No, I didn't know anything about the inner world. Everything was outer world based for me. And then I read a couple of books, became hooked on meditation and visualization. And I kept living. Every time the doctors came in crying, tell me I was going to die, they called my parents to come say goodbye, and I kept living. And that went on for 2.5 years. And then I had 3 kids that they swore would never happen. So the doctors at Sloan Kettering started having their patients call me at home. And that's how I started coaching in the 90s.
I mean, it's just such an amazing story that you were so impacted, but you developed such a strong mindset and belief system that even doctors telling you you're going to die, you were still able to drown out that negativity and say, no, I'm not. That is what manifesting really is all about. It's not believing the 3D or the noise around you. It's believing yourself that you're going to survive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know this, you're so good at these teachings, with your podcast and everything else. You're brilliant with all of this. It
Oh,
is
thank you.
literally you have to believe first. You have to
Mhm.
believe you can do it. Self-confidence is everything. Self-image is everything. Self-doubt is a dream crusher. For everybody listening, self-doubt is a dream crusher.
Yes. No, it is so true. But I think as humans, because we are the majority of us are living not in our inner world, but in our outer world.
Right.
So we're almost getting validation from all the things around us, whether it's our relationships, our jobs, our income, whatever we have, that is telling us we're not good enough, showing us but so when people have that self-doubt creep in, what's a great exercise to get it out?
It's a choice. And it's the one thing that God gave us full control over is what we do with the thoughts when they enter our head. Like we can't control anything. We can't control the weather, our blood flow, our heartbeat, other people, our children, nothing, nature, nothing. We can't control it. But the one thing that we have full control over are the choices we make. When the thoughts come into our head, what are we going to entertain? If they're negative, part of the human condition, Madison, and for everybody listening, is it's a polar universe. So we need to feel the negative feelings so we can appreciate the positive feelings that much more.
Yeah.
And it's all part of how we're designed. So to go through life without having sadness is it's a lie. If anybody says they're never sad or they're never angry, but it's where are you vibing? Like my natural vibe is love, joy, and inner peace. I had to work to get there. When I was in anger and disappointment and regret and everything else, I had to, with the experience of cancer and other things in life, I had to work at raising my vibration with meditation, visualization, affirmations, writing out my gratitude and everything else. And my natural vibe is love, joy, and inner peace. My son asked me a couple of months ago, he's like, because I came down, I'm like so excited for the day and I can't wait to see who I'm going to meet. And my son's like, Mom, it's not normal to be that happy. And I thought, oh my God, he's right. He's right. It was a great teaching moment for my 25-year-old. And I said, the norm, society conditions us to believe that the norm is to be commiserating and judging and gossiping and all that low vibe stuff. It's all low vibe. Are the sum total of the five we surround ourselves with. Mm-hmm. So if you surround yourself with low vibe people, you're going to commiserate. You're going to feed into all of that. But I vibe in love, joy, and inner peace. I'll dip down every now and then, if there's a shocker, which is part of the human condition, but I bounce right back up again. I don't stay there. Very unhealthy.
Yeah. So if somebody is experiencing, self-doubt or lack of self-worth, what are some steps that they can quickly start to really shift? Because what happens is when people can't get instant results because we're an impatient society, they give up. So what are some things that will start creating an instant shift?
I love this question. So in the book, in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I'm an expert in this book. I'm part of a 13-book series based on Think and Grow Rich called the 13 Steps to Riches, right? Amazing. One of my favorite lines in Think and Grow Rich is indecision leads to self-doubt. Slow and insidious. When you don't make a decision, it leads to self-doubt. Self-doubt, bam, leads to fear. You go into fear very quickly. Under the category of fear is anything negative. Like I just said, regret, anger, remorse, depression, anxiety. Depression is from experiences in the past that you're sad about. Anxiety is fear of the future. So that's the difference between those two. But it always leads back to having not made a decision, which is decision. I'm all about vision and decision. Yes. Go ahead.
So let's go into that a little bit, right? So that makes sense where it's like you're not making a decision. Give us an example.
So let's just say you want to you have a decision that, I don't know, you want to become a life coach, right? You want to become a life coach. And then all of a sudden the paradigm kicks in and the ego kicks in and says, you're not good enough. You don't have the experience. Who do you think you are to change people's lives? And all of that kicks in because I actually coach people to become coaches. So I know this comes into play. So if you don't make the solid committed decision that come hell or high water, burn the boats, I'm going to be not just a life coach, but an amazing life coach. Then you get rid of the self-doubt because you made the committed decision. If you're just interested, in no matter what it is, life coaching, acting, writing, no matter what it is, if you're just interested in doing it, then at the first sign of an obstacle, you're going to listen to your paradigm. Oh, it wasn't in the cards for me. If you get rejection, oh, it wasn't meant to be, perseverance is everything, especially when it comes time for the decision. You need to persevere and you need to be committed, not just interested. Again, at the first sign of an obstacle, you'll back off and say, it wasn't for me, not meant to be. So yeah, it's all about making the committed decisions. Then you're focused on what are the solutions that you need to do, to get you to your North Star. So then the self-doubt is not there, because you're not thinking about self-doubt. You're not thinking about you're not good enough and all that other stuff. You're focused on what can I do to get to that North Star.
Okay,
That's the
so making a
significance of that.
decision when you know it's right for you and it's what you want to do, make a decision and then try to be more solution orientated, because obstacles
Yes.
will come up, but figure out what are the solutions to the obstacles versus just going like kind of down that rabbit hole of self-doubt and self-pity and I'm not good enough and la 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 la. Because I've been there.
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
I've been there before. And it's important. What she's saying is absolutely true. So yeah, very, 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 very key. And so and how do you know you're making the right decision? Because people are scared because like, am I making the right decision? Because this could go into relationships. Maybe you're looking to get out of a relationship. Maybe you're looking to stay into a relationship, business, a job, anything, an opportunity. How do you know you're making the right decision? That's where people, I think, get stuck or hesitate.
This is fun. This is so fun. So the most successful people on the planet fail forward. They fail forward. We make decisions. We make decisions constantly, making decisions, right? But we have to pivot. If we figure out it's not the right decision and we have to just switch gears and go in a different direction.
Totally.
Okay, just let go of it. We're not sitting here going, what are the neighbors going to think? I mean, like, who cares? You know what I'm saying?
What are the neighbors going to think?
I mean, like,
it's so true.
Yeah. And then you just make the next best decision. You can only make the best decision based on the information you have at that moment. So you keep going. You keep taking the action. Action is super important. I'm friends with a lot of people from the movie The Secret. And they regret the part about the lack of action. They talked a lot about thinking.
Caused a mass. It was like such a great book that caused a mass load of confusion.
Yes. But it transformed the world. And you and I know that. And it is, thoughts become things. I always say what we think about, we bring about. What we speak about, we bring about.
Oh, I know.
You have to take the actions. You got to take the action steps.
No, it's very true. Yeah, it's like, just taking action. And I think that helps too with mindset stuff. It's like sometimes we'll sit and we'll overthink and we can't make a decision. It's like, get out and walk. I feel like movement helps clear your mind. I always feel like when you really want to like make, or you're about to make a big decision, maybe go around a block, like walk the dog around the block.
Yeah. And I was just telling you about Sharon.
Or sleep on it,
Right. Sharon wrote a book with this guy, Greg Reed, called 3 Feet from Gold. And obviously the title tells you what it's about. Like people get so close to their goal, so close to their dream, and then they quit like right when they're about to break through. And usually, for everybody listening, when it's all hitting the fan at once, usually that's right before the breakthrough. That's right before you're about to get that pot of gold. So
God, I hope you're totally right on that.
I've been right. I have so many testimonials. I have so many clients. I can share stories with you forever. But Greg and Sharon wrote in that book, they interviewed the most powerful people in the world, very similar to Napoleon Hill. And one of the guys that they interviewed was the gentleman who owns Chick-fil-A. Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know around the world, some people don't around the world, they're not familiar with Chick-fil-A, but it's like Burger King and McDonald's, only it's chicken, just chicken. So Greg said,
it's good
to
chicken.
the gentleman, and fries, to the gentleman that owns it, how did you become so successful with a fast food restaurant that just sells chicken? And the gentleman said, everybody overthinks and overplans. He said, if I'm sitting on the couch and I know I need to get to the corner, the first thing I do is I just stand up. I know, because I know that's my next step. I don't worry about the how. The how takes care of itself. So I take that next step. And then after that, whatever inspired idea I get, they always come. I call it the divine download. The ideas always come. Then he takes that next step. And back to your other point, if it wasn't the right step, he just, recalibrates and then waits for the next idea. And then before you know it, he's at the corner. But he didn't worry about the how. He didn't worry about the how. You don't overthink and overplan. one day at a time, one step at a time, 1 minute at a
Yeah.
time.
And I think the thing is like not worrying about the how, like having the goal, but not worrying about the how is like you don't want to strangle the universe and God's way of bringing it to you. Right.
Yes.
Because it could come in from a way that you can't even think about at the moment. So I feel
Right.
like not knowing the how allows it to come in the way it's supposed to versus being so like structured and, you know.
Absolutely. I have a client and I love him. He actually flew in. I had an event back in October called Life on Track. And this was to empower female entrepreneurs to be all you can be and celebrate the men who support us because I love our men.
Yeah.
And but I wanted to have a conversation. I want to change the conversation for women because we always put ourselves last. We put ourselves on the back burner and we're not supposed to do that. So I want to change that conversation. So that was the point of the event. But my client, he flew in from Idaho because he was, and I have permission to tell the story. He was laid off from his job. He was a financial advisor making $77,000 in Idaho, which was good for him. He has a wife, family, kids, a home, mortgage, laid off right before COVID. So he's laid off, thinking he was be able to get another job with all this responsibility. And then COVID happened. So now his mindset was atrocious. Plus, growing up, he was told he wasn't good enough, not worthy. So there was a lot of struggle. So I told him, I said, you could start your own business. This is the perfect time to start your own business. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. There's so much. I'm a financial advisor. There's so much. Why wouldn't they go to the bigger companies? I'm like, trust me, you can do it. I worked on Wall Street. I know you could do this. So he's like, I'll be happy, Erin, if I just make $7,000 a month. And I'm like, dude, you're going to make more than $7,000 a month. So I got him. I had to first work on his mindset, which was atrocious. And Madison, with regard to the people you speak to and interview and everything else, mindset's everything. You have an amazing mindset. So this gentleman, I got him to 7,000. Then I got him to 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000 a month, then 50,000.
Excellent.
In August, right before my event in October of 2022, he had his first $85,000 a month. And started with nothing. So you can do, be, and have. For everybody listening, you can do, be, and have anything that you want. We're all creators. We're all creating a living hell for ourselves, or we're creating heaven on earth. And it's all about mindset.
I like that. Repeat that again.
You're either creating a living hell for yourself based on what you're thinking, allowing yourself to think and speak, or you're creating heaven on earth based on what you're thinking and speaking. So you can think and speak into fear and lack and scarcity and the other shoe dropping and preparing for the worst, which is the worst possible thing you can do. Like the plan B and everything. Just have a plan A and stick to it and work toward that North Star. So when you're creating heaven on earth, you have the abundant mindset and you're speaking the positive thoughts and you're just, pouring love into the world. And you just don't care about outer world validation. I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I'm all about constructive criticism. It is. It's freeing. And there's a book, The 4 Agreements, where it's a great book. And the second agreement is don't personalize anything. I was when I worked on Wall Street, there was the cancer that got me to stop caring about this stuff. But when I worked on Wall Street, before I got the cancer, I cared. People were actually going to tell me how pretty I was, how smart I was, how successful I was going to be. I counted on other people to build my self-esteem, which is backwards, but society conditions you.
So many people do that.
Society conditions you to be that way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't listen to society. Everything society teaches, even the kids in schools and everything, it's so backwards, so counterintuitive to what the actual spiritual universal law truth is.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I think that's good because it's so true what you said, that your validation needs to come within. But I think so many people, and I did this a lot in my past, was like look for outer proof that I was good enough, that I was smart enough, that I was worth it enough, whether it was in the form of relationships, how I looked, all this different stuff,
Right.
What I was making. I used to not think I was good enough because I wasn't rich. Nobody would take me seriously. People didn't like me because I wasn't wealthy. This was a horrible narrative that kept looping on in my head, and no wonder I was taking
can I sum that up for you?
Sleeping pills and everything just
to Madison,
make it away. But luckily I was able to get to the other side.
Can I sum up what it is you were struggling with
Back
all of that
day?
Yeah.
What was it?
Back what you just described, what you were struggling with everything you just described. Fear of judgment.
Interesting.
That's what your paradigm is. was back then? Fear of judgment. You cared way too much what people thought.
Yes, I
Because
did. And I
you were
was
afraid
living
of
in
being
hope.
judged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear. Yeah. Yeah. So happiness is it comes from within. And when you're in service of others, when you help other people, that brings happiness, right? But I want people to remember it's never up to somebody else to make us happy. That's not their job. Not if you're married, not if it's and yet we have to teach our
Yeah.
children. It's up to themselves to make them happy. And it's up to us as loved ones to add to their happiness, but they have to learn how to create their own happiness. Everybody, when Tom Cruise said in the movie, "You complete me," and everybody was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's adorable. How cute. That was so beautiful." I literally, my jaw dropped and I was like, "You cannot just say that." I'm like, that's called codependent. And that's completely unhealthy. Codependent is so toxic. It's not 50-50. It's not you complete me. It's you enhance me. It's 100-100. People have to bring
I like
100% of
that.
themselves to the table, not half of you and half of you. So you both can be codependent. It's 100% you, 100% you, and you enhance each other. And then you just keep growing together.
Yeah. No, no, that's very well said. But no, I think fear of judgment. And I think a lot of people probably listening to this podcast have that and they don't realize it, which is why maybe they're buying things they can't afford because they want to be seen as something bigger than they are because they're afraid people will judge them if they really saw the true them. But the truth of the matter is nobody really cares about us that much at all. Nobody does. We only care, really, if you think about it, like
Right,
I'm in
right.
New York City and I'm like sit on a bench, and you see all these people walk by, like nobody gives a shit what I'm doing or about me. You know what I
Right,
mean? They just don't.
right.
So I think we give people too much credit and we think about ourselves too much to where we're like, oh, everybody's looking at me and my outfit doesn't match, or I look old, or my roots are not, colored, and but nobody gives a flying fuck. But I think they're judging because we're judging ourselves. They always say
Right.
the
And
quickest way to not judge is stop judging yourself. And it's like, oh shit, it's a big one.
yes, yes, yes. And it's also about acceptance, right? Like part of the human condition, part of the human element is we want to feel adored and accepted.
Of
I say
course.
adoration and appreciation. So it's just part of how we're wired as human beings, and that's why happiness really comes from serving others, because you feel appreciated, right? You feel
It's
adored.
true. Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
that's what happiness is.
yeah. And
This is
that's
why.
why I think, yeah, doing something, serving others is definitely a great way to not only build your confidence, but also just make you happier overall. Because I think we're all, when we came down here, the intention was that we would all learn lessons and survive and grow together. And then it became a pissing match,
A dog
where
eat
everyone
dog kind of
became
world.
so
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So I think it's like when you do help others, you get back to that root thing of like, wow, I actually you realize how powerful you are because of the impact you can make. So no, that's like really, really helpful. So what are some other
Bob
tips? We
Berg.
just talked about confidence, and I think that's one of the confidence tips. What are some other
Okay.
tips to help build confidence? And I want to say this in a unique way, so it's not like top 10 confidence building tips,
Right, right.
I want to say like self-worth.
Okay.
Self-worth,
So,
self-image, let's go into that.
right, right. I love the line, you can't outperform your self-image. Like that has become one of my favorite one-liners because it's so true.
It's true.
If your self-image is at $70,000 a year, like you're stuck at $70,000 a year, with regards to what
Yes.
you're making as an income. You want to increase your self-image. I'll
So
give you
how
an
do you
example.
do that?
It's auto-suggestion, which is repetition.
Okay.
Okay. So, and again, auto-suggestion is one of the 13 principles in Think and Grow Rich. And auto-suggestion is when you repeatedly say to yourself over and over and over again, something, you start to believe it, good or bad. When you repeatedly say something over and over, that's why from birth to 8, we're like funnels, of subconscious.
Yeah.
Everything just dumps into the subconscious mind from birth to 8. So, and then we start to become more conscious with our senses, the 5 senses, right? So with regard to self-image and auto suggestion, you want to repeatedly look in the mirror. The eyes are the window to the soul, and you want to just start saying what it is that you want to feel. If you want to feel prettier, just look in the mirror and be like, you're beautiful, and look in the eyes look in your eyes, because your soul, you want to feel it. You don't want to just say it. You want to feel it. Like, I do feel beautiful, and you may not believe it at first, and your ego might be like, no, you're not, I told you 1,000 times you're not. But we're trying to break that. We're trying to break that conversation. And the way to do that is auto-suggestion. The best way to build confidence and self-worth. Go ahead.
So if I looked in the mirror and I said, you don't have fine lines under your eyes, you don't have fine lines under your eyes, does that mean I won't have to get Botox anymore? I'm just kidding. Can it take the years off my little face?
No, the point of this conversation is embrace the fine lines under your eyes. It's from smiling so much.
That's true.
Yes, embrace the lines. It comes with wisdom. The lines in our faces are just visuals of how much wisdom we have. Marianne Williamson,
or lack of sunscreen.
That too. But Marianne Williamson wrote a book, Return to Love. I think it was in that one.
Yeah.
Or it may have been one of her other books, but I love her books. I read them years ago. Yeah. And she said, like, as we age and get into like midlife, I'm 57 years old. So like when you
57 years young, baby.
57. I feel like I do feel like I'm 35 still. But she said, we no longer have like the sexy lift of the leg. It becomes more like the sexy lift of the eyebrow.
I know. I notice like my knees. It's so funny. I always make a joke in comedy to where I'm like, God, I finally got to a point where I could, afford to keep my face in the right place. And now I gotta make more so I can focus on my fucking knees.
You're so funny.
And I'm like, so I'm doing all these squats and stuff. I'm like, am I gonna have to get a facelift for my knees? Like, what is happening here? Like, this is insane. Now I gotta start lasering my whole body. I was like, I didn't even want to take the hair off my hoo-ha because I wanted to just focus on my face.
A facelift from the feet up. But women spend way too much time worrying about, like the lines under our eyes, or doing this, or, like all that, just embrace it. No, embrace it.
But, it's
we're lucky we got this far.
You're right. We want to look good. We want to feel good. It's proven that if you look good, you get paid more, you have more opportunities.
Yes, I'm not saying.
But good God, it's a lot of freaking money. It's a lot of pressure. So my advice for that is like, always use sunscreen, try to eat a healthy diet, eliminate stress, drink water, become friends with a plastic surgeon, and marry rich. Make your own money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else to say, but it's like also like we, the whole plastic surgery thing, because I think people still haven't grasped their self-worth, right? Or their self-image is still really low. So they look to run to the person to inject them, to make them feel this way. And it's like that need they feel. And it's one thing if it's like, yeah, this is what I like, this is what I prefer, this gives me a little extra confidence, I'm all for that. But when it goes to the extreme, like if you start looking like a pool raft, not too far. You know what I mean? Like, and I recently heard that analogy, and it's so fun. I've never laughed so hard because I saw this girl on a bar, and I stopped, and I was with this like guy that I'm like talking business, like gonna do some business with. And he said, I said, oh, and I stop in the middle of the conversation. She walks past me, and like my inner lesbian came out, and I was like, oh, she's so pretty. She's so hot. And he was like, looked at me and he goes, huh? And he goes, everything's fake. You take that home tonight, you basically might as well wake up with a pool raft in your bed. And I laughed so hard.
That's hilarious.
That was the analogy I've
That's
ever
so
heard.
funny.
And he goes, you like plastic medicine? I'm like, yes, I do. No.
But listen, I'm all about taking care of yourself. Self-image
was definitely maybe a little off there.
Definitely take
extreme.
Have good hygiene. To have good hygiene, take care of yourself, do the best you can with what you have, right? But like you're saying, don't go to the extreme, don't change like who you are completely. Like some women, like all of a sudden they don't look anything like what they used to look like, but it's a shame. They're better off not caring what people think, not worrying about judgment. Then because life gets to be fun, you're walking around, it's freedom on a different level. Like I love life. I'm just me everywhere. And you know me, like I'm just me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I'm this way on stage. I'm this way at a party. I'm this way at my family dinner. Like I'm just me. And when you could be fully you all day, every day, it's freedom on a level that I can't even describe. It's
And that's
just so amazing.
because you have a strong self-image.
Yeah, but I had to grow it financially. The funny thing is regarding self-image, because it takes there's different levels, different realms of self-image. Maybe like 5 or 6 years, no, maybe 3 years ago. Like for me, making multiple six figures, yeah, totally easy, doable, like not a problem. I was at Sharon Lecter's house, and we were doing a business. She was doing a business, going over my business with me, my business model, and just giving tips and tricks. She's a friend of mine. So we spent 4 hours on my business with everything that I had, the children's books, the adult books, the life coach and business strategist, like everything, the event and the course and everything else. And she's like, Erin, you have $1 million business. You just have to turn up the engine, meaning marketing. And when she said million, I was like, whoa, I'm a single mom. There's a lot of work that's got to go into making $1 million. That's for the men in my world. The men, I grew up in a wealthy area. The men were the one making millions and billions, not the women. So that, like I was raised with the princess books, and you marry a prince and you're barefoot and pregnant. So when she said million, my paradigm kicked in, like multiple six figures I can do easily with my eyes closed. Million to me was like, oh my God, no, because I thought that was massively overwhelming. Now I realize, like, ever since I had my event, I could have a six-figure weekend. I could have a six-figure weekend.
Absolutely.
And anybody can, but my paradigm, my ego was keeping me back. It was subconscious, and it's like looking at the back of your head. You don't know it's there, so I didn't even know that I had a block to $1 million until I had to work at unblocking it.
Yeah, that's true, because your self-image was stuck in the six figures.
Yeah, multiple six figures.
So
even
right.
Yeah.
So how did you update that paradigm, that self-image, to match, to get to that million? So what were some that you said when you looked in the mirror? What were the things?
I will make $1 million by December. I give a date, December 31st, 2024. I will.
But isn't it, you're not supposed to use I will, it's I do. Because will is in the future.
Different chakra. It's different chakras. Like I am a chakra. I do is another chakra. I will is another chakra. I speak is the throat chakra. So there's different affirmations with different verbiage, depending on the chakra that you want to go with, right? So I'm just using that as an example.
Gotcha.
So I'll speak into that's the throat chakra, making $1 million this year. I'll feel the heart chakra. I'll feel, I feel the $1 million is right here. It's right here, right now.
Yeah.
And everything is right here, right now. It's just a matter of, divine time and divine order. Like we want everything right now, but I believe in God. God has a plan, and everything is in divine order and divine timing.
Yeah.
So we just have to enjoy the ride and make the best of it as we go.
Yeah. And then when we die, we figure it all out. And then it's over. No. You get up there and you get your life, because there's actually people. There's that have died and come back, and they get up there, and a lot of people talk about this life review. And obviously there's no time up there, so it happens very, very quickly, but you see the good, the bad, like it's a pretty crazy thing. And it was like, whoa, how do you want your life review to be? But you understand why certain things had to happen, or maybe your free will switch something else. It's like choosing a lane to go down, right? Or a way to go to the same place, left or right. It's a totally different experience going to the same place, whether you go left or right, and who are you going to meet. And that comes down to decision, or the bar you're going to go to, or the event you're going to go to.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, shit, we could overthink this all day long.
But don't. Just go. Just go. Just go. Just show up.
Just show up.
80% of life is just showing up.
It's so
that's it. That's it. That's it.
It's true.
Showing up.
Just showing up.
I remember interviewing on the Life on Track TV show a woman who did Akashic Records. And when a friend of mine, I never heard of it before. And when a friend of mine said, oh, you have to interview this person, I was like, I don't know. Because they're the ones that tell you all about your soul, the history of your soul. That's what the Akashic Records is, the history of your soul, right? So these people.
How did they even find it?
I know. So this woman used to be an attorney, and then I love this lady though. She got into Akashic Records and readings of your, how many lifetimes you have, everything your soul has gone through. So I was like, all right, it was worth it. She spent 2 hours with me because I had 5,000 questions. So so I ended up interviewing her for whoever was interested in that kind of a thing, in going that deep in spirituality. But it was fascinating, to hear this. So there's so many things. And really quick, I just want to, on a personal note, my sister passed away in 2017, and she's only 49 years old, 4 young kids. That was the worst thing that's ever happened. Well, when she passed away, she couldn't open her eyes for like 2 weeks. She had cancer, and she couldn't open her eyes for like 2 weeks. She was laying on the couch, and we would go over all day, every day, and take care of her, especially at the end. And she had no strength to even open her eyes. So I had hospice come, and they said it was going to happen like that day. So I came home to get my kids to go back there. And she was with my father when she passed away. And my father said she opened her eyes so wide. She has these big, gorgeous blue eyes, right? She opened her eyes really wide with a big smile on her face.
Yeah.
So she saw something. She saw something amazing, and when she passed away, she had a big smile on her face. So
wow.
Yeah. It was her, her big smile on her face. Her eyes were closed, but she still had a smile on her face. So something good happens,
No, when it does. Absolutely. Death only hurts the people that are living because we miss them so much. It doesn't hurt the people that actually go on to their next.
But it's a nice feeling to know that to witness a loved one as they pass, they were just so
happy. Yeah. And to know that they're going on and that you'll see them again. I know it's just life is so short, and we don't know when it's going to be up. And sometimes we feel so stressed and we don't know, what's going to happen. And, but I saw a video today that was kind of crazy. It was like a voiceover with the ocean. It was like, in the year 2123, all of us, all your friends and loved ones will be dead. We'll all be buried. Our possessions will no longer be ours. Most of the things we created will be gone, and life will still move on.
Yeah.
And it was that reminder of like, don't take anything too seriously, like really enjoy the ride. Because if you think about it, like, wow, like how fast time goes now. Like 100 years. I mean, we're on the back nine almost of our lives. We don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's gonna go really fast. So I think it's like, and I need to remind myself of this because sometimes I get very worked up and I take things like too seriously, or I get too worried and stressed, where I should just kind of be like, you know what? Fuck it.
That's right. You wrote the book on it. You wrote the book on it.
No, I know. And sometimes like you have to kind of be reminded, and you continue to grow. So the problems that you get over, there's like new things that come in. So the problems are never going to go away. I think it's just learning how to navigate them more and being more self-aware and learning how to like walk away from things that no longer serve you, which is something that I had to do recently. That was like one of the most empowering things I've ever done. I knew that this was causing me pain, and I finally like shut the door to it. And now, sometimes they're stressed with like different business things that are going on and different moving parts, but like that is no longer a stress. And it just hit me at this moment to realize how quickly that stress started to dissipate.
Isn't it amazing when you get rid of toxic people, toxic places?
Yeah, and it wasn't a toxic person. It was just a toxic situation because it was not giving me what I wanted necessarily. So.
Right. And I wasn't saying like for you, I'm just saying for people in general, like when you get rid of the toxic people in your life, or the toxic places that you go to, or whatever it is, your life opens up. And we are the sum total of the 5 we surround ourselves with. So you want to be really, really particular about who you allow in your inner circle, because that's literally, you just become like each other. And guard your thoughts carefully. Because what we think about literally is what we're creating.
Oh, I know. And I it's so true. But sometimes I get so like, because sometimes I think people think like, well, I can't help but thinking this. Like, I have so much to worry about right now. Like, there's so much to do and there's so much, but it is true. And when you realize that, you have to take a step back, because it's like when you say that to me, sometimes it's a big reminder of like, yeah, I know this. We teach this, we preach this. But you got to remind yourself, because it's easy to go down that path of like, shit, like I got 4 days to get this done and
But that's part of the human condition. That's part of the human element. That's part of the fun of it, believe it or not, even though it's cortisol flying and it could be a little upsetting, but it's what gives the flavor of life. Life isn't first of all the best lessons are learned in the valley. That's where the lessons are learned. We're not learning lessons when we're on the mountain peak and living our best life. We learn our best lessons in the valley.
It's
so
true.
Just know, I said to somebody today, I forget who it was, but I said, if you're walking through hell, keep walking. Because a lot of people put their head between their knees and they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And they stay in hell because they don't keep walking. They don't take the action steps they need to do to get themselves out of that mindset, to get themselves out of that situation. Because worrying, and write this down, everybody. Sharon, like, worrying is just a prayer for what we do not want.
I do love that. Wow, that's such a great saying. Such a great saying.
Yeah, because if you're in worry, you're in the present moment worrying, then you will bring about the people, place, and things to keep you stuck in worry. So worrying is just a prayer for what you don't want. My parents are astounded at my level of non-worry. I'm a single mom.
Oh my gosh.
I have 3 kids.
I am too. I mean, you're very, very inspirational, and I'm so glad that we've become so close.
I love you. I love you.
Yes, I love you too. I love you too. Everyone's like, wait, there's like a podcast on the podcast.
Well, I wrote a book called Work Love, and it's all, but I do, when you're pouring love into the world, that's what we're here to do. You know what I mean? And we're here to add to other people's happiness, We are. And life is too short. Like you just said, Madison, life is too short. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, and, just enjoy it all. Because it's not win or lose, it's win or learn. You never lose. There's always a lesson that brings you to another, destination. You might meet another person, So another friend of mine, Dan Clark, he says, it's not rock bottom. Like when everything's hitting the fan and you think, and people are like, I've hit rock bottom. He calls it rock foundation. And I love that. Rock foundation.
Oh, yes.
And then you start your life on a solid rock foundation as opposed to sand. A lot of people, their life is built on sand and it just falls apart so easily all the time. But when you start and you make the committed decisions, for everybody listening, the committed decisions, burn the boats kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you're building that foundation. When you're doing the auto-suggestion and you're building the confidence, increasing your self-image, then your foundation is on rock. A lot of people that are outer world based and they're just going along to get along, and they're just doing what people tell them to do because, they think they have to be controlled because they're not thinking. So many people are just not thinking these days. Like, please think for yourselves. I beg you, for everybody listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Think for yourself, don't just do something because everybody else says it's normal or it's okay. Because there's a lot of stuff going on these days that's not normal. That's become, like normal talk and like gossiping and judging and doing like all these low vibe things. It's become the norm. You don't want to be normal in a crazy mixed up world. Yeah. And between the pandemic and inflation and the wars and everything else that's going on, it's very easy to get sucked into that if you're watching the news. The news will drain you.
I don't watch the news. I'll see like stuff. So, the important stuff and, obviously pray for, but I'm like, I can't get sucked into this right now. Like, it's just so sad.
It is, but the news is also programming people's minds.
Right. It's propaganda.
Programming. So you want to be an independent, not you, for people, everybody listening, I know you are, for everybody listening, you want to be an independent thinker, and that gives you the self-confidence and it gives you more control over your life when you know that you can think for yourself as opposed to just doing what other people say to do. And what society is, what society, who's society?
Yeah, think for yourself and not worry about the judgment of others. It's tough too, especially like, when you go into the political realm stuff where people are so geared on their opinions and you're right and I'm wrong and I don't want to say this because I don't want to get canceled and I don't want to be this, but if you're really firm in that foundation, it doesn't matter. It's a good way to actually weed out the people that are crazy.
And it's also smoke and mirrors. It's also a lot
of like, oh, you're gonna like not like me because I think differently. Then you're the problem, not me. I like you.
A lot of the news is also smoke and mirrors and like a horse and pony show. During the healthcare debate, I was like against the whole. There was like the Sally Mae was in it. I didn't like the whole we got to pass it to see what's in it kind of a thing that Pelosi used to say. I was like, this is crazy. So I had written a book, my book, the cancer memoir called The Will to Live, and a couple of the books. So I was asked to be on Fox News to speak about this. So I'm in the green room at Fox News in Manhattan, and Bob Beck or Bob Beckel, I think it's Bob Beck I'm sorry, Bob. He's passed away. It's either Bob Beck or Bob Beckel. Was Democratic and a Democrat, and Katie McFarland and Noelle Nickpour. Katie McFarland was like Reagan's. She was on Ronald Reagan's team, on a bunch of presidents' teams. Noelle Nickpour ran another presidential campaign. Anyway, they all got along so well, like in the green room, and even with me, they were like, everybody was like so friendly, so cool with each other. As soon as the cameras went on, it was like, they're fighting with each other.
Gotta get those ratings. It's like, what do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, you are a fucking pony. Like, let's get the ratings. Like, oh my god, no, it's true. It's the same thing with like, and you see like in Congress, they're like, da, 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 and then you hear they're like at lunch with each other, like, what up, girl?
Right.
Did you see my acting today? Should I win an Oscar for the Hollywood of unattractive people, better known as politics? So powerful.
So funny. It's true.
You tell I'm like not into I'm like, you and I should run for office. We gotta turn this shit around. We gotta steer this ship.
Madison,
before I go down a rabbit hole like you wouldn't believe. No, I'm just kidding. Because I'm getting hungry.
Really fast, really funny. I won. Speaking of politics,
I wasn't even planning on doing this. Nobody goes to our YouTube channel, so please go to the YouTube channel to be able to see this. Hold it on up.
I won in 1994. September 13th in 1994. I won the primary in an election that I didn't even know.
That's hilarious.
I didn't even know I was running. So one of my best friend's father was a senator, right? So I get this formal thing. My father's like, Erin, I think it's legit. And I was like, oh, come on, Dad. I was like,
yeah, you're like this.
I was like 26 or something. Had no idea that I was in this thing. And it was legit. The people who told me that gave me my social security number, and I had won that primary election. And they said the sad thing is the person who ran against you probably spent a lot of money and they lost. Anyway, I digress. So gosh, how funny politics is funny. It's funny.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, this has been amazing. But before we wrap up, tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, reach out to you, all that good stuff.
I would love it. And this has been such a pleasure. You are. It's an honor to be here with you.
We had a fun laughing conversation. Sometimes I feel like I can, I have to be so serious and ask the questions, but this was fun. I felt like more of my comedic side came out, which I needed.
You're hilarious. You are so funny. I love spending time. You're so funny. So people can go to my website, erinley.com, ERINLEY.com. And I'd love to offer your audience a 30-minute discovery call, a coaching call with me. If you're looking for life coaching, as a life coach and business strategist. And I can give you a free download of my book, Work Love, my #1 bestseller that I wrote during the pandemic.
I love it.
I wanted to pour more love into the world. It was going crazy.
Oh, well, you are a saint. You're amazing. Thank you so much for doing this show. I appreciate you. And thanks for everybody who's listening, wherever you may be. We couldn't keep doing it without you. So I appreciate it. Please like and share this episode if you enjoyed it, and get it out to the world so we can continue to spread the message of Next to Madison. So we will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.